England, Wembley, 1996. Gareth Southgate walks to the penalty spot in a European Championship semi-final against Germany. He has scored penalties before. He is a professional footballer at the highest level. He places the ball, he runs, and he hits it straight at the goalkeeper. England are out. Southgate walks back to the centre circle alone. And 26 years later, he is still defined by that moment. Not because he was not good enough, but because nobody had ever properly prepared him for what a penalty shootout actually is. This is the hidden science behind why some teams always win penalty shootouts, and others always lose them. Start with the most important thing nobody tells you. A penalty shootout is not a test of shooting ability. Every player at a major tournament can score a penalty. They have done it thousands of times in training. The ball goes exactly where they want it. Without noise, without history, without 80,000 people watching. The shootout does not test whether you can score a penalty. It tests whether you can score a penalty when your heart rate has spiked to levels associated with physical combat, your cortisol is flooding your bloodstream, and the weight of an entire nation's footballing history is sitting on your shoulders at the worst possible moment. That is an entirely different skill, one that has to be trained, and most nations have never trained it properly. Sports psychologist Dr. J. Jordan has spent over 20 years studying penalty shootouts at the highest level. His research is the most comprehensive ever produced on the subject. His central finding will make you look at every shootout you have ever watched completely differently. The outcome of a penalty shootout is determined before the first penalty is taken. It is determined in training, in the weeks and months before the tournament, in the psychological culture of the squad. Teams that win shootouts consistently do not win because their players kick a football better. They win because their players have been trained to manage the specific psychological conditions of a shootout in ways that most teams never even attempt. Now think about what is actually happening inside your body when you walk to that spot. Your heart rate has spiked. Your cortisol is surging. Your muscles are tightening in ways that destroy the fine motor control required to strike a ball accurately. Your vision is narrowing. The goal, 7.3 meters wide, begins to feel significantly smaller than it is. And your brain, flooded with stress hormones and processing an enormous amount of social and historical pressure simultaneously, begins to override the automatic muscle memory that has been built through years of practice. You stop doing what you always do. You start thinking. And thinking under that level of pressure is the single most dangerous thing that can happen to a penalty taker. This is why routine is everything. Teams that win shootouts train their players to follow a precise pre-kick routine regardless of what is happening around them. The same number of steps, the same breathing, the same spot on the goal they look at before they run, the same decision made before they even place the ball on the spot. The routine does not improve the quality of the kick. It does something far more valuable. It tells the brain that this is a familiar situation, that the body knows what to do, that everything is under control. And when the brain believes everything is under control, the stress response reduces just enough for automatic execution to take over. Germany understood this before almost anyone else. Until very recently, Germany had won every single World Cup penalty shootout they had ever been involved in. Not because German players kick harder or aim better, but because the German Football Association treated the penalty shootout as a specific psychological discipline requiring specific preparation. Their players trained under simulated pressure, shootout scenarios run in training with coaches watching, with noise, with real consequences for missing. They built a pre-kick routine every player in the squad knew and had repeated hundreds of times. And they built what sports scientist Dr. Felix Ahlenspiel, who worked with the German Football Association on performance psychology, calls a process culture. A squad-wide belief that the outcome of a penalty is determined by the quality of your process. Not by luck, not by destiny, By preparation. Now think about England, Dr. Jorditt's research on England's penalty record is one of the most revealing documents in football science. England players ran to the spot faster than their opponents in every major tournament shootout he studied. Faster means avoidance, the unconscious desire to get the moment over with as quickly as possible rather than take control of it. England players spent more time looking at the goalkeeper before striking than players from almost any other major footballing nation. More time looking at the goalkeeper means more information the brain tries to process under stress. More information under stress means the conscious mind overrides muscle memory. And England had no consistent pre-kick routine across the squad. Every player approached the spot differently, which meant every player was improvising under the most extreme pressure sport can produce. And improvisation under pressure is almost always a losing strategy. England finally won a penalty shootout at a major tournament in 2018. Not because their players suddenly got better at kicking, because for the first time their preparation had changed. But here is where the science gets genuinely surprising. It is not just about the taker. Research published in the Journal of Sports Sciences found that the order in which teams take penalties has a statistically significant effect on the outcome. Teams that go first win shootouts significantly more often than teams that go second. The reason is purely psychological. Going first puts the pressure on the opposition immediately. The second team takes every penalty knowing that missing means falling behind. Their cortisol is higher. Their decision-making is slower. And their conversion rate is measurably lower. If you win the coin toss in a penalty shootout, you should always choose to go first. Most coaches do not know this. The ones who do have a meaningful advantage before a single ball has been struck. Now think about the goalkeeper. Research by sports psychologist Professor Peter Eiton found that goalkeepers who stand tall, make sustained eye contact with the penalty taker, and move slowly and deliberately before diving, create significantly more anxiety in the taker than goalkeepers who dive immediately and instinctively. The slow, deliberate movement forces the taker to hold their decision for longer, which increases the window during which conscious thought can override automatic execution. The best shootout goalkeepers in history are not the ones with the best reflexes. They are the ones who understand that their primary weapon is psychological, not physical. They are not trying to save the penalty. They are trying to make the taker miss it. And then there is the crowd. When your team is at home, the crowd produces measurable increases in testosterone and competitive arousal in your players. The same crowd produces measurable increases in cortisol in the opposition. A hostile away crowd does not just add pressure to a penalty taker. It actively interferes with the pre-kick routine by making internal focus harder to maintain. This is why home teams win penalty shootouts at a significantly higher rate than away teams in major tournaments. The crowd is not watching the shootout. It is participating in it. So what actually separates the teams that win from the teams that lose? 4 things. A pre-kick routine that every player has practiced hundreds of times under simulated pressure. A process culture that removes outcome thinking and replaces it with execution thinking. Goalkeepers who understand their psychological role and use it deliberately. And a squad-wide understanding that the shootout is won or lost in training, not at the moment the referee blows the whistle. Go back to Wembley in 1996. Gareth Southgate at the spot. The ball placed, the run. The goalkeeper saving it. You watched that and thought you saw a footballer under pressure making a mistake. What you actually saw was a footballer who had never been properly prepared for the specific psychological conditions of that moment, who had no routine to fall back on, who had no process culture behind him, who was improvising under the most extreme pressure sport produces, and whose brain, doing exactly what human brains do under that level of stress, chose the safest available option instead of the correct one. It was never a lottery. It was always a test. And the teams that consistently pass it have been studying for it for years. If this changed the way you see football, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. And if you want the real story behind the moments everyone else misses, subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from.